Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim.
In the blazing deserts of Mecca, where the sands themselves burned like fire, there walked a man who had no freedom, no family, and no power. Only faith. His name was Bilal ibn Rabah, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. Born a slave in the house of Umayyah bin Khalaf, one of the most powerful men in Quraysh, Bilal's life was nothing but service and silence. But then, the message of a new prophet began to echo through Mecca's valleys. La ilaha illallah, there is no God but Allah. And when those words reached Bilal's heart, something within him awakened. He knew this was truth, pure, liberating truth. And he whispered the Shahada. There is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his messenger. When his master discovered it, rage filled the air. Bilal was dragged to the burning sands at midday. They lay him on his back, pressed a massive stone upon his chest, and shouted, "Deny Muhammad, say you worship our gods." But the only sound that escaped his lips was love. Ahad, Ahad. One God. Over and over again. Every lash, every burn only drew him closer to the one he loved. This was not the cry of a stubborn man. It was the voice of love. His body was crushed, but his heart was free. He no longer saw the pain. He saw the beloved behind it. That's why his worship was not burden. It was connection. Word of his suffering spread through Mecca until it reached the gentle heart of Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiyallahu ta'ala anhu, the closest companion of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He rushed to the place where Bilal lay half buried in sand. Seeing the cruelty before him, Abu Bakr confronted Umayyah bin Khalaf. "How long will you torture this innocent man?" Umayyah sneered. "Then buy him, if you pity him so much." Without hesitation, Abu Bakr took out his gold and said, "I will buy him for the sake of Allah." 7 gold coins exchanged hands, and in that moment, a slave became free, not by sword, not by tribe, but by faith and brotherhood in Allah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam welcomed Bilal not as a freed slave, but as a brother. He loved his voice, pure, humble, trembling with love. And one day he said, "Bilal, stand and call the adhan." For the first time in history, the words Allahu Akbar rose into the sky. From the voice of a man once silenced, now chosen to awaken hearts. Years later, the Prophet ﷺ would say, "O Bilal, I heard your footsteps in paradise." Because freedom is not when chains break. Freedom is when faith enters the heart. When the Prophet ﷺ passed away, Bilal could not bear to call the adhan anymore. Each word reminded him of the Prophet he loved, the one who had shown him his beloved, Allah. He left Medina, weeping, saying, "How can I call the adhan for the Messenger of Allah when he is no longer here to answer?" Years later, he saw the Prophet in a dream, smiling and saying, "O Bilal, what is this? You have not visited me." He awoke crying and hurried to Medina. When he reached the grave of the Prophet, he called the adhan again, and the whole of Medina wept, remembering the days when Bilal's voice echoed love across the city. So the story of Bilal ibn Rabah radiyallahu ta'ala anhu reminds us, true liberation is not from the world's masters. It is from the self, from fear, from everything that stands between the heart and its beloved. Bilal's love for Allah transformed his worship. Even in pain, he found joy. Even in chains, he found freedom. Because when the heart is filled with love for the Creator, every sajda becomes a moment of union, not an obligation.
That is the first step to truly enjoying prayer. Not just knowing how to pray, but knowing whom you are praying to.